stupidity.
Yo, relax yourself, bro.
I'll stop crashing out, bro. We gotta stop
It's a
bro.
bad
Come
look
on,
when
bro.
you don't want to answer one question, then you have like a smoker voice and you keep screaming. Just relax. Let me speak to you.
We can talk about this later, bro. I actually really want to see Tyler and Danny have a little girl.
Right,
Okay.
not worth it
Full
talking to
speech.
you, Lasagna.
Okay,
I was
go ahead.
looking at the formulation you gave earlier,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think there's a necessarily a problem with this formulation, but I do think with the analogies he gave, I think the formulation actually points to some of the problems with the analogies that he was giving. So, um, he said A, and I put it down in my note. Hold on.
Yeah, I can repeat it if.
A is X with respect to Y and not X with respect to Z. Okay,
Right, that's
that's what
right.
I got. Okay,
Yeah.
so my there's not necessarily a problem with this formulation, but when you look at when you fill in the variables for the two analogies he gave the shape.
And that, I don't believe so. But the question is, Tyler, do you see a case where if you fill in the variables, you will get something problematic?
I'm not sure that I'm not sure. I would have to like see some examples, but
Okay, so you're not sure. I'll try to give one.
but I would say this: there is at least one example where it is not problematic. That I'm certain of.
But the point is that if you're making it as, when you're talking about form, you're more or less talking about a principle of inference, right? So the point, you want to say that if it's in that form, you can't infer a contradiction. Now, by the way, I don't know any logician, right, that wouldn't infer from the fact that A is P qua X, that therefore A is P is false or unintelligible, right? So that's going to be one big problem, right? I don't know any, like if you try to formalize that statement, A is P qua S, do you know how you would formalize it?
I don't know what you're talking, but if you just ask with what you originally said that A is P, I would agree that would mean that A is P is true.
Okay, so look, so then watch this, right? Jesus is omniscient qua divine nature, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can you infer from that statement that Jesus is omniscient, period?
Yeah, but I don't see a difference between those two statements. Like
But they're
just saying is
formalized
one.
different. But Tyler, they're formalized differently.
Oh, they mean the same thing is basically what I mean.
No. They do not mean the same thing because someone could think that Jesus is omniscient and not know what a nature is.
Okay. Well, would that just be a fault? Would that just be faulty on the part of the person speaking and not necessarily a fault with the statement itself?
No. When you ask a 6-year-old, okay, does Jesus know all things? Is Jesus, and by that, Jesus is omniscient, right? They're going to say yes. And they don't have the concept of qua divine nature, right? That's an added segment, part of the sentence that if you were to add, it will change how you formalize it. Because it doesn't even look like a relation. It looks like some kind of explanatory feature. It's actually kind of a mystery. Now, if you take Timothy Paul's solution, do you know Timothy Paul's solution?
No,
where he says,
no. Go ahead.
He says something like, to say that Jesus is omniscient is to say that Jesus has a nature that is omniscient. Now, there are problems with that because you just get Nestorianism or something like that. But that's the best way, that's easier to formalize than if you say Jesus is omniscient qua human nature, qua divine nature, because the qua divine nature just looks like some kind of explanatory feature.
Okay. I guess I'm not really getting what is the point that you're trying to get at with this line here.
Okay, so the point is that if you can infer that from A is P qua X, okay, then you can infer A is P. And so if you say something like, there are a lot of examples, let's just use this example. Jesus is omniscient because of that statement. And then you come to, for whatever reason, think that Jesus is ignorant in his incarnation. I don't know if y'all would accept that, but let's just pretend, okay? Then you want to say that Jesus is ignorant qua the human nature, but you can infer Jesus is ignorant, period. And there's a tension, because to say that Jesus is ignorant, period, is to say that Jesus does not know all things. And then you get a contradiction.
Okay, so I think one thing to clarify is that I guess on our view of contradictions is relevant. It's relevant which respect that is in. So that's already just assumed.
In logic, there's no feature like that. If you get a P and not P, it's over.
In what order of logic?
In classical logic.
Oh, what order? First order, second order?
Both.
Well, I don't think you can qualify. Well, which one is it? Is you can't qualify? What is it? Predicates over objects in first order logic, or is it the other way around?
No, you can. No. You can't do that in propositional logic, right? And then second order logic, you could start talking about properties, right? But or predicates themselves. I think that's the way I understand it. But the idea is that both in classical logic, which I understand classical logic to be comprised of what you would see if you're to study propositional and first order logic in college, right? Something like that, right? P and not P is contradictory. Doesn't matter if there's a with respect to or not. If you say both of those are true, you've got a problem.
Oh, if it's just like if it just follows like on classical logic that there's a true contradiction, and there's no usage of the term with respect to or qua, then we would just reject classical logic. If that is
okay, I respect that. You just think that there are some types of contradictions that are true.
I don't think it follows that there are some types of contradictions that are true. We would just say
that's what it means to reject classical logic here, right?
Well, I don't think that's true.
Wait, do you think that there's
you can follow? Go ahead.
Do you think that in any case there's a case where, based on our conversation here, P and not P can be true?
Yeah, but I don't take that to be what a contradiction is. It has to have the same semantic.
Oh, no.
It has to be with respect to the same sort of, with respect to the same.
With respect to okay. If you want to do that, then that's outside of classical logic, number one, and number two.
Yeah, I already said we would just reject classical logic, but that's not the same as affirming that there are true contradictions.
No, but you're going to say that there are cases where you have the form of P and not P, and it's true. So
yeah, the form we just wouldn't construe it under the form of P and not P.
Okay, what logical system defines a contradiction differently?
Well, it's not about how you would construe the contradiction. It's just that if you take some type of relative identity, you would construe a contradiction as like X is.
No, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking what non-classical logic are you aware of that construes contradiction in the way that you're talking about?
Well, you saying that something is a contradiction under classical logic would be
because, by the way, the other non-classical logics like intuitionistic logic, I believe, even
finished before.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So what I was going to say was saying that there are contradictions on classical logic is not the same to say that there are true contradictions or that you accept true contradictions because it's contradictory on classical logic. There are no contradictions internal to my system, since those are what true contradictions are. It would have to be a true contradiction.
Okay, but if you're accepting, I don't know any non-classical, so intuitionistic logic, for example.
But what I'm saying is that's not a true contradiction. Isn't what you're describing as a true contradiction on classical logic? I don't think that's a true contradiction.
Right, Tyler. So what I'm asking is, what non-classical logic would agree with you? Because I don't know any.
You could take RI as an example.
RI is not a logical system. It's not a formal system.
Okay,
in fact, RI can actually be included in classical logic.
But you would construe the law of identity differently under RI.
No. There's going to be two different relations.
You don't formulate the law of identity the same way.
No, you're confused. You're just confused. Let me explain why. Right so when you want to formalize relative identity, right, you qualify the equal sign with something like an R, right? And that shows that you can't infer or you can't apply substitution, transitivity, symmetry. I think probably I don't know if relative identity, definitely transitivity goes out the window when you put the R there, right? And that's completely compatible with saying there are instances of equals unqualified, which is just the the sense of equal signs as seen in what we call first order logic with identity. Okay, but the equal sign is something completely different than what I'm asking you, right? Because I'm telling you the little that I've.
What are you okay when you talk about formalizing or a formal system of logic, and you're not including the rules when you talk about formalizing something in a system of logic? What do you mean? Without reference to the rules of logic, what are you talking about?
You're talking about the definitions.
Okay, okay. So, what is a
right? Because, like, for example,
what would be a contradiction defined as on classical logic?
it's
And
very
then,
simple: P and
okay, go
not
ahead.
P.
Okay, and on relative identity, there is no way to formalize it.
On relative identity, you understand relative identity is not a logic.
Not okay. It's a way to construe the laws of logic on identity. So if you
No.
no wait,
Look,
wait. My goodness.
you're
You could
I
say
explained this already. I already explained this.
okay. I know what you're saying.
Can I be heard? Can y'all hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you could take a contradiction on if you accept Ri as X is the same R as P and not the same R as P.
Okay, but that's not how it's defined. First of all, do you know that people have worked on formalizing relative identity and including it in classical logic? Peter Van Wagen, and it, for example, accepts relative identity and even applies it.
Is there anything wrong with what I said that like
Yes,
X
right.
is the
No,
X?
because
You
no
know,
one, you're the only one that I've ever read or heard, right, that defines a contradiction that way. The people that accept R.I., Geach, as well as Peter Van Wagen would disagree. At the end of the day, even if you're
okay.
accepting,
What is the intrinsic problem with what I said? Not like the appeal to
you're just,
whoever.
I don't know what you mean by intrinsic problem. What you're doing is you're inventing a new logic. This is called Tyler logic.
Okay, do you have a problem with what I'm saying? Like, what is the actual problem with what I'm
No.
saying?
If you want to make up your own logical system that makes sense of the Trinity or the incarnation, I don't have a problem with you.
Okay, so what is the problem that you're? So the only
I only
problem you
have a
have is
problem
just
with people that say that the incarnation is coherent in the way that we've construed it here under classical logic or something like classical logic, like intuitionistic logic. It's not that much different for the most part. I mean, there are big differences, but not
if
in
you're
this
taking
regard.
I guess my question because like I only think it's relevant to say that there's a contradiction in the Trinity if you think that you can't qualify the respect in which you
Right,
attribute a
that's called
predicate to a
Tyler
subject.
logic. That's just called Tyler logic.
Okay,
And under
but
Tyler
do you,
logic, it makes
can I
sense. Okay.
can I? All right, do you want to keep going or?
Look, we're beating the horse, right, or the dead horse, or whatever the phrase is. The point is that you've invented a new logic. No one defines contradiction that way, as far as I'm aware, right? Even the people that accept relative identity, right? I think you're showing arrogance. I think you should. Oh, I need to look up. I need to look back at what people that accept RI, what contradiction is, because I might be using in a very idiosyncratic way. But you're doubling down on the idiosyncrasy. You're inventing a new logic to make sense of the incarnation,
Yeah,
and
I don't
I'm
know.
done with
I don't
you.
know.
I'm done
I
with
don't
it.
know. I don't know that it's true that my view is novel, seeing as I see plenty of scholastics affirm the usage of language and the semantics that I'm using
There wasn't
for what I.
classical logic. Look, there wasn't classical logic in the Scholastic period.
Okay, so it's not novel, is what I'm saying. I'm not arguing about whether it's classical logic or
No,
not. I'm just
it
saying it's
is
not novel.
novel if we're talking about formal
How is it?
systems.
How is it novel if no if for something to be novel, it has to be new. But if it's already been conceived of before me, then it's not new. So it's
No.
not
When
novel.
you say, okay, fine, you're saying the Scholastics. Now you're making the claim. So you might agree that in modern logic, there's no one that agrees with you, but there are Scholastics that accept modern logics, right?
Every
And
single one of them.
every single one of what?
Every scholastic in antiquity or during the medieval period and the early modern period,
Or finish the sentence. That's not a sentence. Finish it.
all of them agree with me.
They all. You don't even understand what you're saying. They all define contradiction in the way that you are.
Oh yeah, they would all agree with me on reduplication and how you deal with the contradictions of
No,
LPT
no, no, no,
specifically.
no, no. What the dispute is how to define contradiction.
Okay, yeah, they would agree with me on how to define a contradiction.
Okay, so can you cite one person that gives a definition? I don't want an example use of the term. I don't want a use of the term. I want a definition of contradiction. Okay. First, well, actually, there was a logic before classical logic. Some people call that term logic or traditional logic or Aristotelian logic. They don't. I'm not even sure if they define identity. All right. So if anybody's interested, right, look up term logic or trad logic, traditional logic. There's not really good definitions of identity. Number one, but I don't see anywhere where they define contradiction as Tyler has.
Okay, it's just false to say it's just false to say that there's no formal logic before the age of modernity.
No, I didn't say that.
With Danny.
Yes. That is what you said.
No, I said there's no modern logic. Obviously, there is a formal system that's called traditional term logic. I said it.
Is there any other logic outside of that in antiquity?
No, you don't understand the history of logic. Right? No, barely. There were some innovations, with
you don't know the history of logic. Who made term logic?
All right, look, Danny, I've pulled up the quote, bro. There you go.
It starts to be the case.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, read it, Danny. That's
so stupid, bro.
No.
Nigga said pseudo Aristotle.
I want a formal.
Yeah, but Danny, when it comes to like for example, we read Frege on philosophers, right?
I need to respond to the Cotta point, right? Okay. Look, the Cotta point is this, right? That P and not P is not sufficient to define a contradiction. Now, in natural language, different times, right? And if it's indexed at two different times, they both can be true, right? But so if they're indexed at two different times, right, you wouldn't get a conjunction of P and not P, okay? So the what's at stake here is P and not P sufficient for understanding contradiction? Does that make sense, Cotta?
Yeah, it makes sense, bro. I haven't been listening this whole time.
But you're saying.
I mean, that's why we're asking you, where's the negation from?
Then you're saying it's not a contradiction because it's with two different respects.
Okay, but two different respects. Look, do you understand? Are you saying that P and not P is not sufficient for being contradictory? Is that what you're saying?
I'm confused by your analogy. So can you explain your analogy?
It's not an analogy, right? The question is...
That wasn't an analogy because you gave an example.
What was an analogy?
Something can have something at time one, and then at a later time it will lack it. So
okay, well, that was more of an example, but fine. But it's relevant. The point is that how do you formalize a contradiction?
Why isn't that a contradiction?
Because one of the conjuncts is false. So you would get true.
Okay, so what makes the conjunct false? The two different respects. That's what you're talking about.
The point is that if P, okay, look, again, if P and not P, okay, are you saying that that's contradictory or no? Is that sufficient for contradiction or no?
I'm just saying, based off of the example you gave, it seems like it could be relative.
No, but if you say that I am here with respect to... Huh?
I didn't even finish what I had to say.
Oh, go ahead.
It just seems like with the example that you gave, it could be relative to or quantified by some specific respect.
No. The problem there is in my example, those indexicals are involved. Okay. So the idea is that the statement is indexed to a particular moment of time, space, time, whatever it might be. Okay. And so if you want to say that...
Why couldn't you say the same thing about the incarnation exactly?
Because Jesus is omniscient, there are no indexicals.
What?
So let's compare the indexical case with your case, okay? So if I say, I am here, okay? And then someone says, well, is that true irrespective of any index? Well, no, it's not true. And it's not false. It seems unintelligible. It's an unintelligible statement to say, I am here, and there's no index. Or at least there's not going to be a truth value. I mean, maybe I think that's plausible. Maybe someone can correct me on that. But the point is that I don't know what it means to say, I am here, and it's not indexed to anywhere. It's not relative to anything. Right?
Yeah.
But to say that Jesus is omniscient, or squares are shapes, those don't have any index. So to say that
What makes it such that in this case there's an index and there's not an index in the case with saying that Jesus is omniscient? Why couldn't there be?
Well, the existence of indexicals, right? So there are indexicals like, or demonstratives that are like I, he, there, this.
I get I know what you mean by demonstratives, but what is it that the demonstratives have that make the statement indexical, which is lacking in a statement like Jesus is
Wait,
omniscient?
what you're asking, why is I an indexical? Is what you're asking?
Yeah, why does it become an indexical?
Indexical.
Why?
I don't know if I have a prepared answer, but we agree.
Well, if you can't give me a reason why that's an indexical.
No, but we agree. Tyler, do we agree that I is an indexical?
No, I think we agree on that.
So why are you asking?
Can I finish real quick? If you're just saying that we can say that is an indexical, and that's why. What is preventing me from saying that the statement that Jesus is God is an indexical is not?
Do you think
nonsensical.
Jesus is an indexical term?
I'm not committed to that per se, but why couldn't I say that?
Well, there's a list. So indexicals change the meaning based on who's talking, right? Like, so if I say I'm here, that's true, but it's relevant, right? It's with respect to this point in space time. If you say I am here, that's a different. Suddenly, or I am there.
But the same person could say I'm here, and then at a different time say I'm here, and those obviously have two different.
Right, but in the case of in the case of Jesus is omniscient. Wait, you cut me off. To be fair, I'm going to be quick. Jesus is omniscient. It doesn't matter who says that; it's true.
Okay, but why couldn't it be an indexical? Not just like saying.
Okay, so here's my preliminary answer, and I think it's very reasonable. One of the reasons why it's not an indexical is because it's not relative to any space-time point, any point in space-time.
Okay, so is with respect to what is being indexed.
What? You mean referred to?
Basically, it depends on what's being indexed.
No, I that's not what I said. I said that one reason for thinking that Jesus is omniscient is not an indexical is because it's not indexed to any point in space and time or person in terms of changing the truth value of it.
Okay, so being in space and time is requisite to have an indexical,
or someone uttering it,
or someone uttering it.
You already know this. You're just obfuscating now. You're wasting time.
Okay, so is there any other circumstance in which you can have an indexical outside of those examples?
Look, we agree that Jesus is not an indexical, right?
I didn't agree or disagree with that.
Well, it's obvious. Do you think Tyler is an indexical?
No.
Okay, so are names indexicals?
I don't see why they couldn't be.
What do you think an indexical is? You don't have to define it, but think about what
I don't know what the definition of an indexical is, and you didn't give me one.
Okay, so let me get this is ridiculous, right? Obviously, Jesus is not an indexical. You're wanting to. Okay, I don't know why you're doing this to me. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just listening.
Okay, so are you saying, to proceed with the conversation, I can get a definition of indexical, right? And then you're going to say, oh, yeah, Jesus doesn't fit that definition, so I agree with you that's an indexical. That's what it takes you to agree that Jesus is not an indexical? That's crazy.
I just need a reason to believe that you could preclude.
But you know what an indexical is.
I don't know what an indexical is. I don't have a real definition of an indexical. I can give you some.
If you don't know what it is, how do you know? How do you know that?
Being able to give examples is one thing, but being able to give like a denotative definition is another thing. I can't give you a denotative definition.
The point is that if you successfully call something X, right, then you know what X is, right? Now, you may not be able to define X, okay? Like if I say...
Well, that's what I take it to mean, that you know what that thing is. At least typically, you have like access to a real definition.
So we agree that I is an indexical. You're just wondering whether Jesus is an indexical or not. That's what you're going on.
Well, I'm more so interested in what makes something. What is the property that makes something an indexical versus not?
I more or less gave it, and it's my criteria were very reasonable.
Okay, you said that is indexed to a particular space and time. Okay, and that it refers to a a subject in the first person, or it's a demonstrative pronoun. Those are
The point is,
Danny, could we just say, like, to just keep it simple, that an indexical it just varies in reference. It doesn't have a fixed reference.
oh,
So
okay,
it's gonna
yeah,
be context
I'm
dependent.
fine with that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So
Well,
the reason why Jesus can't be...
I don't know if that's going to be very helpful to him, though. Let me get my dictionary of philosophy. I can't believe we're having to do this because it's very obvious that Jesus isn't an index, but now I'm talking to Tyler, and suddenly, right, we need strict criteria for index so that he's wondering if he can weasel his way out. Let me get it. Okay,
No,
here's
he
my
wouldn't.
dictionary.
it's not weaseling.
It's obvious that Jesus is not an indexical.
It's not weaseling out to look for solutions to propose problems. Like, let's calm down.
No, that's exactly. You're a motivated reasoner.
Everyone's a motivated reasoner. Like, what are you talking? Everybody has motivations.
I want to explain why you're motivated.
We've already talked about this before, Danny. We've already agreed that whenever people have beliefs, it's not like these conversations are going to change anyone's position.
No. I'm fine with that. Right. I used to be a Christian.
Okay.
And I hit a lot of walls, but I admitted when I didn't have a good response. Right. You're not doing that. You're insisting that I give necessary and sufficient conditions for index so that, maybe Jesus is an indexical, right? Only people that are extremely motivated will do that.
Okay,
I'm going to give a definition of indexical rather. And I can't believe I have to do this. Okay, I got an I, L, A, B, C, D.
Danny, I know that Tyler would agree that Jesus isn't an indexical.
So why is he doing this to me?
No, it's just, I think you should not understand, because the definition you gave was kind of, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really that simple. So
Okay, well, here's the definition. Here. Do I have to read how much? This is a whole freaking passage. Okay. The pronouns I, here, now, this. In fact, I use 3 of those. And related expressions like today, my grandmother, your house, are known by philosophers' language as indexicals. The term derived, blah, blah, blah. These expressions seem to fall into the semantic theory of singular terms or referring expressions. Terms whose function in the language is to pick out a particular thing, right? But where indexicals seem to differ from other apparent singular terms, like names, there it is, okay? It actually, perfect, it says it for me. But where
you didn't give me a definition. You gave examples.
No, it says that, it just says you're wrong, right? But where indexicals,
I didn't ask you.
Shut your mouth.
I didn't ask you for examples.
I'm reading it. But
Okay,
where indexicals, shut up. But where indexicals seem to differ from other apparent singular terms, like names.
Okay, I got that part. Now go on. What is it that an indexical has that other things
Is that they pick out different objects or places or times in different contexts of utterances. All right? I didn't say that explicitly, but what I said amounts to that.
Okay, so they pick out. Repeat that definition. That part of the definition.
Are you serious? Okay.
Danny, so basically, indexical is just varying reference. So it's not fixed to a reference. So like, if I say I, right, I doesn't just refer to me, right? Because Danny can say I, but just because Danny says I doesn't mean that
it sounds like a vague. It sounds like a vague concept.
No, it's not vague. It's not vague. It's not vague.
No. Like because if you read, like, for example, like Kripke, right, he would say like names originally designate a reference, meaning that it's going to be reference fixed. So like in every possible world in which like this name is associated with this object, right, that object is going to be considered. So like Jesus wouldn't be considered to be an indexical because
it does have, but you would say that the term Jesus.
I cannot believe this.
You would say that the term Jesus can be used in different respects.
No, it picks out the same thing.
No, you would say we could say that like the notion of Jesus. You can say you have different. Yeah, you can say like the term Jesus. Like someone can understand that notion differently or whatever. Like a Muslim can understand Jesus to like.
I'm not just talking about understanding. Like you can use it differently.
No.
Like,
the point is that the term Jesus in the Bible picks out the same thing always and every single time you use the term in the context of the Bible. Right now, obviously, there's a Jesus somewhere that exists in Mexico, Jesus, right? But that's not the point. The point is that
couldn't you just say that Jesus can be used and have 2 different usages? For example, you can say Jesus, and it can mean Jesus with respect to his humanity, or it can mean with respect to his divinity.
The
can
point
that
is
be baked
that
into the term?
the point is that names pick out the same thing all the time.
That's what. That's
But couldn't you say that a name like Jesus could have those two concepts
No.
included in it? Why not?
Because name, what do you think a name is? It picks out a specific.
It just refers to something.
No.
Names don't refer to things.
No, it's not just that, because guess what? I can say the spider I can pick out something, I can refer to something, but I can with that term, that singular term, the spider, I can pick out that spider or the other spider on the other side of the room or the one on the way.
I agree that those are also ways to refer to things.
Right. The point is that names are specific. They pick out something uniquely, whereas the spider.
Why can't a name have multiple usages? Is my question.
No.
Why can't a name be used for different things?
Look, you. And by the way, when a name is used, right, it's referent fixing. It fixes the referent to that thing and nothing else. Otherwise, you're talking about a universal. You're talking about a general predicate.
Okay. Could you have a name? I think that the name usage could be qualified based off the context. So I don't know that I would agree.
I can't talk to this guy. G1, I surrender. I'm defeated.
But Tyler, remember? Well, not Tyler, but Danny. Remember, I gave you my formalization my formalization, which wouldn't conclude a contradiction using FOL. Remember that? I think I sent it to you months back.
Was this Timothy Paul's solution?
Well,
G1, let me ask you.
I did
a question, G1.
Go ahead.
Why don't you think the name Jesus could have different usages?
When you say different usages,
What do you mean by usages? What do you mean by usages?
In the statement, Jesus is omniscient and Jesus is not omniscient. Do you think both of those statements are true?
Jesus is omniscient and Jesus is not omniscient. No, I wouldn't say both of those statements are true. I would say that Jesus is the former. I wouldn't say he's not omniscient. And if I was to say that he's not omniscient, then it would qualify in what respect.
Do you think the statement Jesus is passible and Jesus is impassible is true?
Jesus is passible and Jesus is impassible is true. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
but we would always have to preface it to a nature, and that's what Timothy Paul states.
But why? Okay, so with what I said, just saying that Jesus and then supposing Jesus with respect to some nature, why isn't that word? Why can't I say that when you just said the same thing?
Nah, it's because what Danny is talking about, he's referring to what terms pick out, right? And when it comes
if the term picks out the same thing,
when we mean okay, so when we say the term picks out something, we're talking about something external, right? Something which actually exists. It picks out an object. That's what analytics to say, right?
So what?
But then when we say Jesus is impassible and Jesus is passible, even though we use a qua operator to indicate what respect in which we're saying Christ is such, we wouldn't really say that is what's being important here in the same respect, since that's talking about the sense, right? But
you're saying it's the same subject.
Yeah, it's the same subject, of course, right? But they're properly speaking, you're talking about the senses, bro. And you're just saying, but the sense is not in the same respect.
Non-indexicals.
Because normally,
That's a linguistic expression that varies from
Sarah, we already did that. Just look it up.
I already gave a definition. But
Tyler, this is
It's an
desperate.
indexical. Jesus is not an indexical. This is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, Tyler.
Come on, let's calm down.
Okay, even if you don't think it's an indexical, I think that part of the problem is.
Hold on.
Good.
Okay. My question is what is different between what you're saying about Jesus being impassible and impassible and passible, and saying that's qualified by two different respects, even though it's not present in the statement, and what I'm saying.
Because
It's implied in the term Jesus when you say those two statements is with respect to two. It's in two different respects.
We'll repeat the last one because I kinda lagged again. Repeat again, bro.
What is the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying?
Well, the difference is, we're talking about the reference itself, in which the term picks out, And then I feel like with the statements in which you're providing, we're speaking about the sense in which we're saying that this thing is the case, even though this sense does refer to some entity, if that makes sense. Because
Well,
remember,
when you say,
indexicals names.
what
Because
is the
remember,
when you say impassable? What is the referent there? Okay, Jesus. What is the referent in both statements?
And
what is the reference in each when we say Christ is
Jesus, the
impassible and
reference,
passible? It's gonna be Jesus.
Jesus would whatever.
Jesus would be the
And
reference.
it's the same referent across both.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
he's going to
same,
say
of
one of
course.
them
Yeah,
is
yeah.
false.
It's the same reference here.
He's gonna
Wait,
okay.
G1, can
Well,
I
no,
can I
he
can I
doesn't.
credit it?
He doesn't. Well, wait, Danny. He doesn't believe that the statement Jesus is passable and Jesus is impassable. That both those statements are false. He thinks they're both true.
Yeah, we're not making the statements
Notice how
implicative.
Freudian sense and reference is relevant here. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
No, now I see the relevance.
Oh, okay.
Now because Lee Kanye, bro, you was talking about like syntax on P and not P, bro, and then
I
like
can still tell you.
like when Danny asked the question about like sense and reference pertaining to the syntax, right? You stated that it could refer to something which like it doesn't.
Yeah, I can tell you how.
But Frege would say it doesn't refer to anything.
No, he does.
Where does he say that like P and not P would refer to an entity?
Well, that's not what you said. So Danny's trying to say that you conclude or you derive P not P, but what we're taking the negation from, we're saying that P here before it's manipulated by the negation is trivially P, right? It's not going to be like P and not Q, where Q is equisatisfiable with P. Thus, it's a contradiction because that's what the actual model of hypostatic union would be saying. So when I asked him, where are we getting the negation from? And he said, well, it's true. When we speak semantically, he's all-knowing and he's not all-knowing, even if we grant, I don't know if that's orthodox. Obviously, that's not going to be derived from the model of hypostatic union. That was my point I made.
Yeah,
Like you just said.
that point isn't what I was like saying you was wrong in. Because when Danny asked the question about P and not P, and you stated that it refers to something, right? Because that's what you affirmed. Right, I said it doesn't refer to anything, and Frege wouldn't say.
I never claimed Frege uses sense and reference for like null reference. I never said that.
You never said what?
Like if we take any falsum where it's just going to be semantically null, I never said you'd use like Frege. Yeah, he says that you don't use what do you call it? Like P or a sense of which some referent is impossible or doesn't exist. Or something like that. Like I never claimed that I'm talking about when we're getting P not P from, and now it's not going to work given Frege semantics. That was all.
Yeah, I don't. But
Yeah.
Okay, so do you construe the LP all the statements of the LPI as just a case of whatever Phrygian sense reference solution you're referring to, or whatever?
No,
or Luke
I'm
Kim.
not talking to you, Danny.
I'm talking to you, Buster.
Nah, I use
I wasn't asking you.
Yeah, but I was talking to you.
But yeah, what's it called?
If I wanted your answer, okay.
I don't care. I'm just saying it for the record. No.
I'm not, but I wasn't asking you. I know
trying.
you don't even.
I'm telling everybody, including you. No.
You don't believe in the incarnation, so
You don't have to believe in the incarnation to say no.
Oh my goodness, dude! All right, Lucania. Do you believe that the whatever Phrygian sense reference distinction you're referring to resolves all those problems?
No.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So do you think when we say Jesus is passable and Jesus is impassable, that there's two different referents, or they refer to the same thing? Okay,
There's
go ahead.
one referent, right? And then what we're getting the negation from in the reductio would have to be of the same trivial statement, but obviously, like in Chalcedon, we're not going to affirm that there's like trivial statements of Christ. Any predication of Christ is qualified. So you can never say like.
Tyler, explain that
you can
shit.
never say.
Explain that shit.
He just saying.
I don't know. Maybe you're just like sped, and that's why you have to go ask other people what I'm talking about. Or maybe you just actually don't need anybody.
Let him speak, bro. If you need a translator, bro, like touche, bro.
I'm telling Lucani he doesn't understand.
Danny, what do you think it means when we say there's no statements of Christ implicit?
What do you think it means to fuck off?
Wait, chill out. You're gonna get like Cactus Love, look. Wait, chill out, bro. You're gonna get Cactus Love, look. But
Can I ask a question real quick?
It's like actually embarrassing.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick. Does Tyler? I don't know if I was tracking the whole time. Does Tyler still believe that names can refer to like different things insofar as different respects, or what?
It seems like we're all in agreement that it can have different senses, I guess is what I was trying
Wait,
to say.
Tyler, no, it can't, because when you say like Tyler, right, that refers to you only. Granted, you have another nature. If you say that as different senses, then you're an historian. We say that when Jesus is said to be
Oh, wait.
Jesus,
Wait
within
one second.
wait 1 second. Okay, watch this. Look, it'll all explain.
I didn't even finish.
No, it's because I didn't finish. That's why you didn't get to finish, right? So don't interrupt. So you'll get to finish
Well,
after I'm done.
you asked me a question
So
in the middle of
wait,
answering the
1 second.
question.
Just allow me to finish. I'm almost done. When Jesus is referenced in the Bible, right, that refers to one subject. It doesn't refer to, Jesus of the human nature, Jesus of the divine nature. That's just Nestorianism dividing Jesus into two persons. That's wrong.
I don't think.
I know you don't think that, but that's what it entails. That's the corollary.
I didn't even finish what I was saying. So I don't think that. Okay, that's an echo. But I don't think that when we talk about the different usages of the term Jesus, I'm saying that there's two different subjects. If that's what's meant by
I know,
reference. Can I?
I know. That's you're
Can
just
I
grant. You're just like saying what you believe.
Like you just complained about me interrupting you. Now you interrupted me.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you're just repeating what you believe. Like, okay.
the proper definition, I guess, in your language is sense, I guess. Is that correct, G1? Sense? Is that how y'all are using it?
Okay, Tyler, let me make this easier for you. When Jesus is referred to in the Bible, does it refer to the same thing every time?
Or it's the same subject?
Okay, so it refers to Jesus. The same Jesus that is talked about in the Bible, it refers to only one thing.
Okay. The thing is kind of, I would just say the same subject. It depends on what you mean by thing.
Okay, so it refers to Jesus, meaning only one Jesus. The same subject, same
Well,
thing all the time.
technically, in the Bible, it doesn't always refer to the same thing because sometimes it refers to other people besides the Messiah.
Okay,
So,
okay, dude. When I say Jesus, I mean Yeshua, your God. When Yeshua is mentioned in the Bible as your God,
Yeshua
it
is the
refers to
same
the same
name
thing.
as the people who are referred to as Jesus in the
Okay,
Bible.
I clarified the one who you believe is God. This is
Okay.
tangential.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he's mentioned, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that's referring to one thing and one thing only every time.
Yeah. It refers to, yeah. Hmm.
Okay, that's it. You rectified yourself. Save Tyler. What are you saving him
Yo,
from?
Danny.
Oh, Sar, Hero Sar is gonna save
Yo,
Tyler.
yo, Danny. The answer,
Uh-oh.
yeah. Yo,
I
Danny.
get,
The answer you were given earlier when we were talking about, well, the one that you said leads to Nestorianism. I don't see why it would, because the scholastics say the same thing. So they say that there's gonna be principium co and principium quod. So principle by which and principle which. So the answer this guy. The
Hey, wrap it
answer
up,
you
bro.
said that led to Nestorianism is literally what the scholastic says, that Christ has a nature that is all knowing, and Christ has a nature that
Well, if
is
the
all knowing.
Scholastic said it, then they're Nestorians implicitly.
Well, I want to know what leads to Nestorianism in that view.
Well, all I said earlier, if you're talking about what I said, that if you have something that is omniscient, right, the omniscience is not predicated of you, it's predicated of what you have, that thing that you have that is omniscient.
Yeah, I'm asking, how does that lead to Nestorianism?
Because if you're saying that Jesus, on one hand, who's a person, has something that has knowledge, that's like saying if I have something that has knowledge, I have like a person, a friend, a brother.
having knowledge
You don't take, knowledge
those
is
don't
what, not
constitute
what,
a
hold on,
person.
Tyler, hold on, stop. Yeah,
Having knowledge
knowledge,
is sufficient condition for personhood.
no, we
No, it's not. We
disagree.
don't
Hold
agree
on.
on that. We
Synodic
don't agree on that.
Thomas, Tyler, hold on, stop. I don't know why we were not saying this earlier. We're wasting time. Look, the definition of person is rejected to be just knowledge. I mean, you can
No, I
find
didn't say that. And
multiple.
wait, no, I didn't give a definition. I said it's
No, like,
sufficient.
oh,
It's not
well,
sufficient though.
It
well,
obviously is,
Yo,
Tyler.
Tyler,
no,
No,
it's
it's
Tyler,
not.
not.
Tyler.
We
I'm
don't
Hold on,
agree.
hold
curious,
We
on.
don't
Tyler.
agree. We don't agree
Tyler,
on that.
Oh my gosh.
Tyler. Do you know, Tyler? Just to be clear, do you know what a sufficient condition is?
No, stop.
Yeah,
Hold on. Stop,
I do.
Michael. Let me talk to Donnie.
Oh,
Hold
where did
on.
he go? Y'all kicked him?
Why'd they drop it, Mike?
Principle. Yeah, hold on. Let
Why
me
you
talk to
dropping
Donnie.
Michael, bruh?
Let me talk to Donnie, bro. Look,
Michael's a bro.
yeah, knowledge does not constitute the person. We agree that it doesn't constitute the person.
No, I didn't ever say anything. I mean, do you know what sufficient condition means?
Yeah, a sufficient condition is just what needs to be the case for the
No,
language.
that's a necessary condition.
Yeah, what needs to be the case for
No,
something else to
no,
be the case.
no.
Hero, take off your cape, bro. Take it off.
That's what I'm telling you. These guys don't even
Wait,
know what a sufficient condition is.
wait, hold on. You said that that's a necessary condition, not a sufficient.
Yes, yes.
Wallah, I'm dead.
Well, okay.
Do you
That's
know
fine,
what a
that's fine.
necessary condition is?
Hold on, I
It's
guess
what you
it's
just
right,
described.
so I'm gonna say
Okay,
it's right.
a sufficient condition.
It knows.
A sufficient condition.
Let Danny define it. Hold on, Tyler. Let Danny define
Well, it's just if a sufficient condition is met, right? There are the conditions such that you can call it that thing or it is that thing, right? Now, it doesn't mean that those are necessary for that thing to be that thing, right? So here's an example. A sufficient condition for having a parent is having a mother, right? But it's not. In order to have a parent, I mean, they could be dead, right? Just saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, so
That's fine. You're just saying that,
Think
like,
of sufficient as good enough.
it's not. Hold on. You're saying that it's not necessary for you to have a mother to have a parent. But hold on. If you have a mother, then you have a parent. I understand what you're saying.
Right, but you don't need to have a mother to have a parent.
Yeah, hold on.
Right?
Yeah,
Assuming that they can die, right? If we're not, obviously, maybe there's some physical constraints that everybody needs to be born, maybe, but Adam and Eve are not even in that case, right? They didn't have a mother, so you think of that example.
Yeah.
okay, knowledge isn't a sufficient condition to be a person. Though. I don't think any.
Tyler,
council don't. Most council don't.
Tyler, I want to ask a serious question.
Yeah,
Tyler, are you fucking stupid?
Knowledge, yo, let me finish, bro. Stop yelling at me.
Yeah, that's just.
I don't know where.
Tyler is right. I don't know
Why am I
you're
calling
laughing,
back and I'm hearing swear words? What's going
Even
on?
from that, Danny.
Swear words. Swear words.
Let's not curse. Let's be
Like,
very
you're
nice.
gonna look up Cat's live, man. He's this guy.
Please don't drop.
Okay. All of you, please stop. Let's.
Are you
Right,
Cat?
please
You
no
got a
F-bombs, no insulting, all right, no yelling. Thank you. Right.
By the way, I just want to ask a question real quick. Hey, Tyler, would you agree with Van Wagon's?
Yo, damn, okay. Bro. Let me see. Yeah, Fry's in the back, guys. That's it. Alright, yeah. I'm gonna end it.